Black Female Project.
This is Leslie Stoval, your guest host for the Black Female Project podcast. Learn more about our work at www.blackfemaleproject.org. Hi there, this is Leslie Stoval with another edition of the Black Female Project. And we've got a fascinating young lady with us today. You'll meet her, Jasmine Brown. She's a writer, editor, and activist from Oakland, California. A full-time consultant, Jasmine has spent a few years honing her special events and program management skills in support of arts organizations and justice-centered initiatives. We're going to find out more about that. With a creative spirit, Jasmine is an astute problem solver who earned her BA in African American Studies with an emphasis in film and television from the University of California, UCLA. Jasmine serves as a healing and advocacy cohort facilitator and political education researcher for women with incarcerated loved ones in her role as a steering committee member for SE Justice Group. She also is a research assistant to Professor Carl Anthony, author of The Earth, the City, and the Hidden Narrative of Race. And Jasmine is the event coordinator for the Black Female Project, an international traveler and naturally curious person, which you will see. Jasmine asks questions and seeks the answer for the greater good. And now I want you to meet our guest, Jasmine Brown. Hi, Jasmine.
Hi.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
And let me ask you a few stock questions, and then we'll get into your fascinating life here.
Okay.
How old are you?
I'm 29 years of age.
Your hometown?
Oakland, California.
Do you have a shero?
I'd have to say my mother.
And what's your mom's name?
Justine.
Hey, Justine. Words you live by, you think?
Everything that you're looking for is looking for you.
I love that. I really love that. Could I use it?
Sure.
It's cool. And how about your Black female Mount Rushmore? Four Black females. Who would you put on Mount? Just, you can change your mind any other time, but off the top of your head.
I would have to say, this is going to be a long answer to your question.
Excellent.
That growing up, I was always looking for people beyond the textbook definition of either Black history or, I would say, political figures or just beacons that everyone kind of turned to or pointed to. So I started looking for people around me more so.
Yeah,
to
local,
look up
huh?
to. Yeah. And so I'm not just saying this because this is the Black Female Project podcast, but I would have to say Precious. And I'm not just saying this because we're going to talk about SE, but also Gina Clayton, the founder of SE Justice Group. Those are the two that stand out to me the most. And then if I had to go like musical, I'd probably say Erykah Badu.
Oh my God, I saw that movie last night.
Which movie?
What Men Think.
Okay, yeah, she's in that one.
She needs to be arrested. She stole that movie.
I bet.
Oh my God.
I bet.
She just hilarious.
Yeah.
Erykah Badu. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
And I really like what Viola Davis is doing as far as speaking out about Black women's issues as far as acting is concerned. So I would say those would probably be my four right now off the top of my head.
Well, those are formidable women, very much. So tell us about your work here at the Black Female Project and what you're doing in your projections.
Okay. Well, I started doing some programming work. So that was just like helping with program facilitation and coordination. And then it turned into doing like event production and then also some systems-based things.
So tell I don't know what systems are. I know you don't either. What are systems?
The Black Female Project recently gained its nonprofit status at the end of last year. And so I come from an operations background, and that's basically just getting things in place to have institutional memory, essentially.
Okay.
And just like being able to offload some of the things that exist in the founder's mind, but not necessarily on paper or for other people to be able to duplicate. So those kinds of things.
Wow, so you have to be a little intuitive, huh?
Yeah, intuitive and organized and yeah. Definitely.
Well, you are definitely organized. I can tell that.
Thank you.
Tell me about the SE
SE Justice Group,
Justice Group
is a healing and advocacy organization for women with incarcerated loved ones.
And where are you based?
It's based in the Bay Area, but there's also a base in Los Angeles. And so this past year, we graduated 8 cohorts in the Bay Area and Los Angeles and surrounding areas.
What does that mean, you graduated them?
So basically, the women go through a 9-week healing and advocacy cohort. So they advocate for themselves, they advocate for their families, and they advocate for the larger community. And basically, the advocacy is around like dismantling mass incarceration.
How do you do that?
So it starts with self, and then you do so for family, and then you do so for the community. But SE does a lot of stuff around bail reform. One of the biggest things was getting Google to divest in bail bonds ads on their sites. So that's
your latest achievement. That's a big achievement.
And then also publishing a national report called Because She's Powerful, and it can be found on becauseshe'spowerful.org. But it surveyed over 2,000 women with incarcerated loved ones, and it asked them about the impact that mass incarceration had on their physical health, their mental health, their financial, emotional hygiene. I mean, just it ran the gamut. Yeah.
So these incarcerated individuals, is it all by mistake or?
Not necessarily that it's by mistake, but it's definitely by design. So if you've seen the
Explain
movie 13th, it talked about how the criminal justice system was formed after slavery, but it's definitely a form of slavery. So 1 in 4 women have an incarcerated loved one, and 2 in 4 Black women have an incarcerated loved one.
Do Black women have the highest rate of incarcerated loved ones?
Well, I think with that stat, I mean, it seems to be disproportionate that 1 in 4 women and then 2 in 4 Black women, because Black people don't make up very much of the United States population. So if you have 2 in 4 of half of the population affected by it, I would say disproportionately yes, because Black was made criminal with the 13th Amendment, essentially.
Tell people what the 13th Amendment is.
I don't know it verbatim, but I do know it from the film, that basically slavery is abolished except for in the event of committing crime, essentially. So those rights are taken away. They're basically waived if you commit crimes.
Isn't there a movement now, like I think even in Florida, where felons are allowed to vote now?
As they should be. Because if you are a part of a population, to be stripped of that right to vote, you never get the opportunity to change the things that affect you.
Do you believe in the social contract?
What does that mean?
Social contract, it's from the Enlightenment. And basically we have things as individuals, as citizens, which we must do to achieve certain things. So everybody's held responsible and has, opportunity from that. So what do you think about that? Everybody should get up and go to school, learn something, be in your community, get a job. I mean, that's like the social concept.
I think that everybody should have access to that, whether or not they've committed a crime, been convicted of a crime, whatever it is. I think that everyone should have the option to be able to contribute, recontribute, whatever it is to turn that tide. But
instead of just turning it off. Right?
With the way the criminal justice system is now, people basically forfeit that right.
Now, what do you think about when people say personal responsibility? Because not every Black person's out there committing crimes and in jail. That'd be horrible to say, because it's not true. There are a lot of Black folks who are achieving and whatnot.
I think everyone is one step away from committing some sort of crime at any given point. Everybody's run a stop sign. Everybody's done something that has been illegal. I think that legality is not morality, and I think that through court watching with SE, you start to see disproportionately how Black people are impacted by just the smallest infraction.
Do you think it's a poverty thing? And don't have capital?
I know that it's based in capital, definitely, just by some of the things that we've gone through as far as the Black Mama's Day bailouts.
What's that?
So it's a part of the national bailouts, and SE was or has been for the past few years in charge of the Alameda County bailouts.
Which
for
means
Black
Oakland.
Mother's Day. Yes. So what happens is you bail out Black mamas in time for Mother's Day. And the bail amounts in California are so high that a lot of other places you can bail out like 4 or 5 people, and in California maybe 1 or 2.
But everything in California costs more.
Definitely.
Everything.
Yeah, definitely.
So I want to hear about your film work in UCLA, and what did you study in film and music?
So I studied African American studies with an emphasis in film and television. So it was mostly based in theory. And then I came back up here and I did some master's coursework in film editing. And so with that, I was able to do some visual art. And then I left that program in order to, I feel like, find stories or to find a little bit more about myself. But I also left the program because I didn't really like the setup. I had to depend on other people to finish their projects in order to matriculate, so I didn't think that it was the best thing for me.
Is that how the industry works? Because it seems like there's a lot of collaboration, that like when you see a film was written by somebody, then they hire somebody else to come in and fix it. And I think that a lot of people, artists that I know, get frustrated working in Hollywood because you don't own anything, like the writers. You know, you write something and then they change everything. So you don't own it.
Yeah, I think that the only part that was frustrating was just the matriculation rate. And I think it's really cool to be able to collaborate with people, but I couldn't have a degree hinging on other people doing what they were supposed to do. And so it's nice to collaborate, but that costs money and it costs time. And I just felt that I needed to live a little bit and to... a little bit more, I guess I should say, because I definitely lived before then. But but still definitely doing a lot in the arts. I used to work for the Museum of the African Diaspora in San Francisco. And then I've worked for a photography for social change organization called Catchlight, and done some creative direction and stuff like that on
do you like that
projects. I really do. Yeah.
So definitely. Do you have any projects in your head that you think, you know, when I get some funding or whatnot, something I want to do?
Definitely.
Could you share that with us?
Sure. So I have a personal blog, and
it's called
visualliteracy.me is the website.
Okay.
And basically this summer I took the time in between jobs. I went to Baltimore and I interviewed a friend named Jai-Ndiaye. And I wanted to center a group of stories around women and their like transformative healing process. So I wanted them to give me a recipe for healing. So we had a photo shoot at the Baltimore Conservatory, and we just talked about how she's using tarot as a form of navigating her grief journey because she lost her mother a few years ago. And I wanted to talk to her about it because I grew up hearing that tarot and mediums and things like that were of the devil, but nothing about her spirit says anything like that to me.
That's what Erica was doing. But
that's what she was doing in the movie.
among other things, selling weed on the side.
Oh, sounds good.
she it was like a send up of her, you know, how, like, I interviewed Erica Badu when she first came out. I was over at a radio station in San Francisco. And, you know, she's not a corporate, she's, you know, street girl, around the way girl. And so she was a little shy and whatnot. And so the record company made her come in there. So I go, people say that you have a little Billie Holiday vibe going on. I don't sound like her. And so, and then I go, well, who do you sound like then? Just like that. And then we played some of her music, and then we were talking off mic. And I said, well, you know, in California, you can get a prescription from the doctor and go to the flower store and get yourself hooked up. She goes, really? You can?
Yeah.
And then the whole interview changed. She was engaged.
Sounds good. Can we talk about that, though? Because I feel like it goes in tandem with what we're talking about. So the healing. So me and my friend Janae, we did talk briefly. It didn't make it into the interview on my site about plant allyship. And
I don't know what that is.
Basically like using plants as a form of healing and, you know, how we navigate the world. So plant allyship, and I'm sure it has a deeper definition. But I also want to talk about plant allyship and growing up in Oakland, California around marijuana and what they now call cannabis because it's trendy, right? that also links itself to mass incarceration, because there are a lot of people that are serving time for marijuana related offenses, but now it's cool, now it's chic, now it can be delivered to your door.
Didn't they decriminalize it?
They decriminalize it, but you still have a lot of people that are behind bars because of the level of paperwork and because of all of the things that you have to do in order to be released after the fact. So there's one of those things where it's like, here is this healing force in our community, and we know it to be that way, and we know it to be true just instinctively and innately, but it's been criminalized.
But it's decriminalized now.
It is, but it took a long time for that to happen, because it's been 100 years of prohibition on marijuana, but not necessarily alcohol.
But there are actually active programs now that try to get these people out of jail and get it off the record. That's what I've been seeing.
That is true, but I think the point that I'm trying to make is that when we talk about people doing what's right, it's what's right at the time until enough money moves into an industry and changes that. It's not a moral code, it's a legal code. And I think that plant allyship and Black folks' relationship with herbs in general, like marijuana, is now like something that's been taken over by a larger market and a different demographic. And so everybody else is seeing it a different way. So I connect that to mass incarceration, because it's like, here are people making a livelihood off of something that I personally feel is healing, right? But they've been denied that access and denied that right for a really long time. I don't think it's fair. And I feel like that's why I'm involved with the types of organizations that I'm involved with. Definitely.
Well, you definitely have a passion. So how does this translate with your work into the Black Female Project?
So the Black Female Project and my involvement with the project for the last, I would say, 3 years, it's influenced a lot of my decisions about where I work and how I choose to work. I feel like I'm at the point where I'm doing a lot of heart-centered work rather than mission-driven work. And
that's a luxury.
It's a luxury, definitely, but I think it's a luxury that a lot more of us can afford if we kind of stepped out on that and recognize that we have valuable contributions in the workforce, and whatever it is that we want to do, we can do, essentially.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, and I had this thought in my mind a couple years ago, or maybe about a year or so ago, that I just wanted to be in my seat. And when I said that, it was like, I don't want to be in proximity to my seat. I don't want to be in the ballpark. I don't want to be in some sort of range or distance. I want to be where I'm supposed to be. I want to be walking in my purpose.
How do you know where you're supposed to be and know your purpose?
Every day it changes. It changes. Like mentally, I'm like, oh, is this the right thing? But something comes along to confirm that. There are these little moments that I have to wake up to recognize, and you definitely have to recognize, like, everything that I asked for in the past 3 years is here now, and everything that I'm trying to turn and shift into will be here in the future, definitely.
You know what? I believe in that, because, like, once you verbalize things, I think it's, I don't know, just for me, it made a change when I said I want to do this. Or I'll give you an example. I don't know how scientific this is, but at one point I wanted to increase my money-making potential. So I started wearing green shorts. I did, and it was just.
I'm gonna get me some green shorts.
Girl, it worked. Wait till it warms up a little bit.
Okay.
But
I'm gonna get some green underpants. We gotta expedite the process.
Socks. Well, you know, I guess it's just bringing it to the front of your mind and everything. But you're so very interested. This is lovely talking with you. And I know Precious and everybody is just grateful to have you on board at Black Female Project. Give us your website again, your podcast.
Yeah, it's called visualliteracy.me, and you can find me on Instagram at visual_lit.
Tell them your name again.
And my name is Jasmine Brown.
And this is Black Female Project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Black Female Project.
Thank you for listening to the Black Female Project podcast. Black Female Project works to positively impact the wellness and professional experience of Black women. We celebrate women who thrive at work and share their stories with the girls coming behind us. Learn more at www.blackfemaleproject.org. Follow us on social media at Black Female Project. This is Leslie Stoval. Thanks for listening to the Black Female Project podcast.